Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
That was so nice.
You know that song?
I think so.
Probably.
There's, again, this is from TikTok.
Good morning, good evening, good night. Sorry, I had to say it. I got it in my head because it's like, if someone's listening, it's not good morning.
Oh my gosh, really?
We need to...
Did you just like...
Truman Show them.
Yeah. That's it. It's the final straw.
Cut.
I can't handle it. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Ready.
I always ask if you're ready, like at some point.
As if I have a choice.
You're like, no, and you just get up and walk out. Okay, so the pictures I showed yesterday in worship of our like little garden.
Which wasn't so little.
That's true. That was the only, we had a big tree. We had a couple of big trees in that backyard. So that was like the only sunny patch. So everything grew there.
Yeah.
So I had some peppers because Steven likes spicy peppers. So I had grown some like tiny like Tabasco peppers, which I had never tried before. Now everybody knows to avoid big like red peppers. So I had some like habanero peppers that I grew that year too, which don't. If you're thinking about doing it.
Noted. Yeah,
don't.
Taking notes.
Okay.
Thank you.
But the Tabasco peppers look really harmless because they're teeny tiny. So that summer I did something called popsicles at the parsonage, where the youth would just come over on Monday afternoons. I would just have those like cheapy popsicles, and we would just like hang out. Yeah. Mostly in the backyard. Yeah. So that there was plenty of space. Yeah. Well, one Monday they come over, and we're hanging out, and some of the junior high boys go over and start exploring in the garden area. Totally fine. Then they see the peppers. They ask me if they're hot, and I say, yes, they are very hot. They're like, well, but you don't really like spicy things. They didn't believe me. Cut to 3 junior high boys sobbing. I had to like go. I didn't have a whole lot of, I had like almond milk, which is not, so like I'm trying to, I was like, here, have like a spoonful of sour cream, like anything to try to cut the heat. I felt so, I warned them. Yeah. I said, do not do it. Yeah. But sometimes you have to
gotta learn the hard way.
Believe that it's spicy.
Gotta learn the hard way.
I mean, don't just be eating things you find in nature is what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't.
But you know what happens if you don't pick peppers fast enough? They just fall. And then the next year, you get what I like to refer to as accidental peppers. Oh. So I couldn't get rid of those habaneros. I still have some in my freezer. Like big, like gallon Ziploc bags full of habaneros that I don't know what to do.
Man, I'm glad you're a gardener because I can't grow nothing.
Well, nothing. I just like to try. I'm not always successful.
It's worth trying.
But it's fun to garden.
It's great.
It's part of what we talked about. We talked about yesterday about how love grows.
I love it.
So let's talk about it. I'm Becca. I'm the pastor of family ministries here at Katy First.
And I'm Mark. I'm the senior pastor here at Katy First.
All right. Well, welcome to the Katy First Family Podcast, where we offer ideas, encouragement, and inspiration for you and your family to help you grow as joyful disciples of Jesus Christ. This week, we talked about how love grows.
Yes, we did. And guess what? I didn't preach. You did. So give us a recap. It was great, by the way. It really was.
I really appreciate that. Thank you. Well, what we talked about was how when we are wanting to put our love in action, which I think in general we want to do. Yep. Like as people and specifically as Christians. Yep. We want to love with more than just our words or our feelings. But it can be very hard to do that, just if we're honest. Yeah. And I think one of the things that we have to really come to recognize is that we're not loving in our own power. That it really is God being rooted in the knowledge that God loves us. Yeah. And that love is unconditional. Yeah. And so as we go out and we are finding ways to answer faithfully the question of what does love require of us, how are we going to put some flesh around how we love, we want to do that with a sure and certain knowledge that we were loved. And because we know we were loved first, it makes it to where we can share that love. It fills us, and then it grows out from us. And then it's also an act of grace. I think that was a big part of what we really talked about yesterday is the way that grace works in us. And I loved like I had not planned it in my sermon. I did not, if you look at my sermon notes, it was not written down.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that we had a baptism made it so much easier to talk about grace, because we could see right there in front of us, sweet little Hazel.
Yes.
She's so cute.
You said that with a little bit of a southern accent.
If you name your kid Hazel. Little Hazel. Yeah. She's so cute. If you name your kid Hazel, you get a cute little accent. Yeah. Or Ivy May. I knew an Ivy May.
Ivy May.
I loved her. I love her still. But we could see, like, from the moment of baptism, here we are baptizing this little baby. She has no idea what's going on. Yeah. The water is interesting. Maybe a little cold. Yeah. Like, that's kind of it. But we know that it's this really significant moment of God, of us recognizing and God already pouring out grace in this kid's life. Yep. And we get to celebrate that. And then one day there will be a moment where she gets to decide that for herself, and God will continue that amazing work in her. So it's just this really like tangible in the room example of this really beautiful way that we see grace at work in our lives. And I get excited about that at any point, right? I think if our starting point in our faith is resting in how loved we are, that changes the trajectory of how we, like, it changes what we think about. Like when we read scripture, if that's the lens we're working with, that is a different way of reading scripture. Yeah. If that's how we are like moving in the world, it changes it. If it comes from a place of like an ever expanding, all encompassing, unconditional love, it changes how we interact with the world in really powerful, sustainable ways. Like it just keeps going. Because inevitably, like I don't want to bust anybody's like Monday morning bubble or Monday afternoon or Friday afternoon for that matter. But at some point, people are going to do things we don't want them to do. Right. And if our love for them, our care for them is conditional on them always behaving or acting or feeling a certain way, that's going to fall apart real fast. Yeah. And if we think that that's how God loves us, then our own faith is going to fall apart real fast. Yeah. Because even with the best of intentions, even trying to like stay within whatever lines we think there are, we're going to accidentally end up outside of them. Yeah. So then what? And I for me, it's been like personally, it's been a massive game changer. Yeah. To think about, okay, really being loved like that, being held like that, but then also like trying to love others that way, right? That my love for them is not contingent on their behavior. Yeah. Which isn't to say that things are boundaryless. Yeah. That's not. Right. Yeah, yeah. I'm not talking about unhealthy love. I'm talking about my favorite way to talk about this. This always kind of blows youth groups' minds. I'm not sure why. But like I have a nephew who'll be 11 in May, okay? That child, I love him. He could set my car on fire and run me over with it, and I don't love him any less. Yeah. But he could also be the most like, well, he is, but like he could be the most kind-hearted. Like he could be a billionaire who gives away all of his money to care for other people, and I can't love him more either. Yeah. Like my feelings for him are not contingent on his behavior. I just love him. Yeah. And so trying to love everybody that way, it's really easy when you like see a person as a baby I think to even as they grow up to love them that way. It's much harder to love adults from the get-go that way. Yeah. You know? Yep. But love is tricky. It turns out. It can be complicated to put into action. Yeah.
I loved, we're just throwing around love today. I didn't know where you were going with the garden story.
Oh, really? I guess
I wasn't like worried, but I was like, what? And then, when you tied it together of like, why is this 7-foot tomato plant not creating the world's best tomatoes?
Right. Because it looks like it should.
Yeah. And you went through all the things, including whacking it with a
tennis
racket, which was hilarious. I've never heard that as a legitimate thing.
It works on different other plants.
That's funny.
It didn't work with that.
Yeah, it's a soil. Of course it's a soil. And I was like, oh, yeah, and like, I thought that was such a beautiful way of putting it. and it was like, it was, you know, we get baptism requests and then we just find the date, and it just happened, it's lined up on that day.
Right.
And that couldn't have been a better way of saying, like, here's how this makes a difference. Look at this child we just baptized. And I know I've said it before as well, but like, when I think about my own baptism as an infant, and I don't remember it, there was at one point in my life, I was like, I wish I remembered it, and I was dunked. And that was probably a little condescending, but to myself. But
be nice to yourself.
Yeah. But then when I think, actually, no, being baptized as an infant reminds me I've always been in this grace and love of God, whether I had a choice of it or not. Like, it's just the ground I'm in that like pulled me back to that. Yeah. Like, yes, the ground, and I'm so grateful that has always been the ground that I've known.
Yeah.
And that's true for Hazel, and it's true for any of us, to be honest, whether we're baptized as infants or as adults, we always are in that ground. So there's an awareness of it. But I was just thinking about how there's even in that, there's still a bit of participation. Like, right? Like, we are people that are worth love and being loved. And it's true, like any plant, if it got up and got it in the wrong soil, like, it would be harmful to it. And like, and so like, there's always an element of like, as you put it, like having that good ground that you're in, knowing what are you residing within, and what is that producing? Right. Because it, like that plant, it produced a tomato plant that was 7 feet tall and big and leafy and green, but at the end of the day, it wasn't creating good fruit. And like, I think there's so many areas in our life that we look at things that, oh, look how big this is. Look how my wealth, look at my possession, look at my status. But at the end of the day, it's not producing the fruit that you really want. And you pulling it back to that ground is residing in your belovedness with God, because it's only out of that belovedness that we can really truly give ourselves in love, because love is hard. Yeah, it can be. I mean, I think it really, like, good, authentic, growing love is hard. And I think the difference between us and like a plant, where the analogy breaks down, is like the tomato plant had no ability to fix the soil. Yeah. There was nothing that plant could do that would all on its own fix the nutrients that it needed, right? This isn't the Little Shop of Horrors. Right. It's not going to like animate and be able to fix it. But we do have the ability to check our soil and to adjust as necessary. And so if we feel like you're saying, like we're growing in a way that isn't producing real fruit, isn't allowing us to really move forward in loving ways, we not only can fix it, we should. Yeah. And if we don't know, like I still don't know. There's little testers you can get for your soil to see, like, is it too acidic or whatever? Yeah. Or the best thing to do is to go to like a master gardener, and they can help you. There's other things, but then the analogy breaks down. Like somebody else who is more knowledgeable, and they can help you figure out what it is that you're missing in your soil. Like, that was almost a coffee disaster. My lid was like jumping. You gotta get that together. Okay. Plants can't move. My lid can. When we drink drinks, we use 2 hands. Sorry. I got told yesterday by the youth that I often talk to them from like, when things get hectic. A toddler mom. Yeah, I told one kid, I was like, I need you to look at me. You're gonna do this and then this. Get it together. Sorry, I can't help it. But when I had that plant grow, I took a picture of it because when it occurred to me, like I was like, this will preach. I have been saving that story. Have you really? I really have. That was like 4 years ago. I love it. That's good. So yeah, I'm trying to grow a tomato plant right now in my backyard. Yeah. The plant is not growing too tall.
It does have some flowers. However, somebody is more knowledgeable than me yesterday told me that if you have a hybrid tomato plant, then they have like male and female, like so it can pollinate itself. But if you get like heirloom tomatoes, they don't do that. And literally nobody has ever told me that before. So like you have to get more than one plant because they need the pollination. Nobody's ever told me that before.
All the things that just came out of your mouth, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh.
I mean, like, I can guess what you're talking about, but
okay, I don't know how worthwhile it is to explain it right now. Like, I'll explain it to you as a person, but like on the podcast,
I get it. I get in general what you're saying.
Like, it's a way
I was
of
curious
engineering the seed.
after service.
If people talk to me about plants,
Oh yeah, because anytime
Okay.
I've used an agricultural metaphor,
You get
and
it.
then there's like, by the way, did you?
No,
and then
I
it's
did.
like, oh yeah, you're an actual farmer, you know.
yeah. Well,
thing.
let me tell you, in Wharton, I got it all the time
Yeah.
because they are actually actively farming.
Yeah.
And so there's, I learned a lot. I learned a lot of farm equipment. That became like a youth game anyway. But I was very impressed. I also feel like I should shout out somebody because I made a reference to a person in my sermon and they picked up on it. And they came and asked me, was that me? So yes, in fact, it was Julie Richards, was the sweet mom who was like holding her kiddo and was like, it'll stop hurting soon. Which isn't that just the
Way to
sweetest
go,
thing
Julie.
to say to your kid though? I say
Yeah.
it now to Sammy all the time, but also like, just to other littles if they fall or whatever.
Yeah.
I just thought that was so sweet because it does. When you first fall, it just smarts. Like it's not even like you're not really hurt like permanently or even, a little more long term. It just smarts when you fall off the swing set,
Are you saying smarts?
Smarts.
What's that?
Like when you, oh my gosh, now I'm pretty sure that's a thing. Like it smarts, like it hurts.
I've never heard that.
All right, well, we're going to need people to let us know. I am fairly sure
We got
that's a thing.
agricultural lessons to learn and whatever smarts
linguistics.
is.
I'm pretty sure that that's a thing. Like it smarts, like it hurts, but like just a little bit, like stings, kind of.
This is the first day of my life I'm hearing that.
I'm so curious to see if I've just been like misusing that. Lord of mercy. So when you're kind of, because we try to do like a little takeaway.
Yeah.
The thing that I was really thinking about this morning is I was kind of thinking about, okay, so what's the kind of quick thing? How do we apply this in just really rapid fire ways in our family life, right?
Yeah.
Is the 2-second pause before you react, which is hard to do, right? But like, so you've checked your soil, you're thinking of like, because those are long-term things. Those are not quick things, right?
Yeah.
Those are things we are endlessly talking about the long game in here.
Yeah.
Right? Those are long-term things. The quick thing is the 2-second pause before you react to somebody. Whether that is somebody in your house, your spouse, your significant other, your kiddos. I mean, I guess even the dog, or cat, whatever, which you calling out Miley yesterday was hilarious.
Oh.
You don't have a cat, little girl. So funny. I'm sorry. But whenever you're going to react, right?
Yeah.
To have a 2-second pause.
Yeah.
Where you just like remember that you are loved.
Yeah.
And you are capable of loving.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that and maybe I'm projecting this, one of the things that I'm really working on is that reaction time when something happens in our house, like something gets spilt or knocked over, to not instantly go, you know what I mean? Like I'm so frustrated. Yeah. Because accidents happen. Yeah. I don't want people's initial reaction of how I interact with them to be one of, or to leave them feeling like I'm disappointed in them. Yeah. Because I'm not really. And maybe that has more to do with me than with them, if that's how I'm reacting. So just a 2-second pause. I'm loved. I'm capable of loving. Yeah. And then let the words fly. Yeah. I'm not telling you what to do as a reaction, but if that's your starting place, that's a much better starting place than I already know. Yeah.
How can you ground yourself in this love?
Yeah. Or how do you interact with a coworker or that Facebook post, because Lord knows those are coming now as we get closer to November. Yeah. Right? Like how, I'm loved, I'm capable of loving.
Yeah.
I think just that 2-second shift can make a big difference.
I like it.
Okay.
I agree.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then we thank you for joining us today, and we hope that you have found some inspiration and encouragement for yourself and your family. If you'd like to get our weekly podcast delivered directly to you, you can subscribe or follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. I always feel very fancy when I say Spotify. I don't really know why. For more information about upcoming events for you or your family, you can visit us at katyfirst.org. We've got all kinds of registrations up there.
Oh, gosh. It is registration season.
It is. We got the garage sale coming up.
We got VBS coming up.
We got mission trips coming up.
We got studies happening right now.
Choir stuff. Like choir tour for kids. Choir camp.
I'm like, how long can we go here? We've got a lay servant ministries, which is probably for a small group of people. If you're like, what is that? Go online and look at it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
All sorts of things.
There's a lot. So go on the website and find your thing and sign up.
Sign up.
Yeah. We want you to know that in the middle of your ordinary, messy life, whatever that looks like for you and yours this season, that you are loved, that you are doing a good job, and you are not alone.
Yeah, we'd love to see you on Sunday. We'll continue 1 John and talk about how the opposite of love is not hate. It's worse than that.
I'm terrified. ... But also intrigued.
Good. It's going to be good. And so we'd love to see you on Sunday. Until then, have a great week.
Bye.